I would like to say something about the mechanism behind the traditional economic crisis. In 1867, Karl Marx mentioned that imbalance between rapid expanding production capacity and the limited consumption of the mass in the capitalist world lead to overproduction and periodical crisis. In 1936, Keynes mentioned that investment being smaller, being less than saving, leads to insufficiency of effective demand. Both of them, Marx and Keynes, talked about insufficiency of demand, but the difference was that Marx focused on insufficient consumption, and Keynes focused on investment. And also their solutions are also different. The Marx solution to this problem is to replace the capitalist system by the socialist system with public ownership and the government control. The Keynes solution was the expansionary monetary and fiscal policy to increase demand. So what's the result? For the capitalist countries, the overproduction was actually replaced by continued supply shortage and low efficiency. The Keynesianism, it works in the short run, but sometimes leads to stagnation in longer term. Why this is the case? I would like to argue that besides inflation problems, the expansionary monetary and fiscal policies create investment demand in the short run, but further expand supply in the longer term. Therefore, the supply-demand imbalance comes back. But in the past period, mainly in 20th centuries, the problem was at least partially solved in developed countries. What solved the problem? I would like to mention about Roosevelt New Deal during the Great Depression, 1930s. It was actually Keynesianism plus social welfare, including establishment of social security system, income redistribution, and the labor law. The European practice after the Second World War was mainly social welfare. And the US practice after Second World War was different. It was mainly encourage private consumption by excessive lending. Therefore, insufficient consumption was replaced by overconsumption, and now we are facing financial crisis. What's happening in China? Basically, export drop and demand insufficiency. Affected by the financial crisis, the export of China, the growth rate of export dropped from about 20% in the past years to negative 20 to 30% in early this year. Start from the heavy export drops, China is facing a traditional style economic crisis characterized by insufficiency of demand. Economic recovery in China will depend on replacing dropping external demand by increasing domestic consumption. This figure shows that China and the US has different kind of structural imbalance. In US, there was in the past decades, there was a continued increase in trade deficit. But in China, there was a rapid growth, rapid increase of trade surplus. The difference comes from the different domestic imbalance in China and the US. I'm talking different kind of imbalance, because in US, people spend the money that belong to your children or your grandson. And in China, the imbalance is that you saved too much. Therefore, there is not enough demand to, not enough purchasing power to buy your product. From the figure, you can see that the saving rate in US, the first chart, is very low, and the consumption ratio is very high, increasing all the time. In China, other way around, the saving rate was increased rapidly, and consumption ratio decreased rapidly. Especially in the past 10 years, consumption ratio decreased from about 60% to only 49%. Private consumption decreased from something around 64% to 35%. That's the ratio of GDP. So now, where the stimulating package in China work, the Keynesian-style stimulating package of 4 trillion Chinese yuan certainly can lift up growth in the short run. In the next half of the year, I would expect China's economic growth in China will be significantly higher than the first part of the year. But however, rapid growth will not be sustainable without recovery of domestic consumption, because of the government investment does not help changing the saving consumption imbalance, especially if investment causes rapid expansion of production capacity. That means you produce more, you need more consumer to buy your goods. So what we need basically seems to us social welfare and public services. We first need to unify the basic social security system in China, which is not complete yet, and segmented from region to region. This is particularly unfavorable to those migrant workers coming from rural to urban area. They are moving among regions. Secondly, we need to popularize the 12-year education, especially in rural areas. Thirdly, we need to improve the public medical service system. And fourth, we need to help the process of urbanization. The government should provide low rental housing for migrant workers, and to ensure the migrant workers' children in urban area can have equal opportunity for education. And fifth, we need to improve business environment for small and medium enterprises for fair market competition. And sixth, we need government sector reform for better management of public resources. With all these necessary internal economic structure adjustment to rebalance the economy, we are confident to expect a continued rapid growth, about 9% towards 2020. Thank you very much.